Hey, Don, the Auction Professor here. Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to explain Roman numerals. I've had this question a ton of times, and I do mean a ton. This is one of those things that apparently they do not teach in school anymore either. My kids hadn't a clue. So I've actually put something together, and we're going to hop on over and look at it right now. So here we go with Roman numerals. We're going to talk about the basics of it first. So we'll go over what the actual letters mean. The I, which is just a simple representation of ones. You've got a V, which is a representation of fives. You've got an X, which is representation of tens. You've got an L, which is representation of 50. You've got C, which is a representation of 100. D is 500. And then we've got M equals 1,000. So these are all the Roman numbers, and with these you can actually create pretty much any date. Now if it's some huge number, they used to draw a line over it, which meant you multiplied it by a certain number, and I believe it was 10 if I'm not mistaken. So let's look at counting with Roman numerals. We'll start with just going over the basics. Now 1 is I, 2 is 2 I's, 3 is 3 I's, 4 is a little different. It actually takes 2 Roman numerals, so you're actually going to put an I in front of the V, so that indicates a 4. So now we move on to 5, which is just the V. To get 6, it's VI. We're adding a 1 after 5. 7 is VII. 8 is VIII. And now for 9. This works the same way as 4. You're actually going to subtract 1 by moving the I in front of an X. So now you've got 9. IX is 9. And 10 is just a simple X. So that's 1 through 10 in Roman numerals. Moving on to 11, you're just going to add a 1 to 10. 12 is the same thing, adding a second one. 13 is adding a third one. 14 now is an X, and then we can just look at what 4 is, was IV. So it starts from left to right, you read it. So if it was 14, we'd be looking at the one column is a 10, so that's the 10, and then we just add 4 to it. So that's basically how you're going to add and actually count in Roman numerals. A large chunk of vintage items, books, even in some magazines and some pulp, on cards, on sheet music especially, even vintage toys, a lot of the actual dates are written Roman numerals instead of the actual date. So this is something that I have found key to knowing. I constantly have people asking about this. You know, what's the basic gist on it? They hate to have to keep looking everything up. It's real easy once you get the gist and the hang of adding up Roman numerals. If you went to school probably 20 years plus ago, they taught this in school in math class. This was like in basic math when I first started out. Well, in grade school, 3rd, 4th grade, they used to teach this kind of thing. So 15, of course, is a 10 and a 5, so an X and a V. Now 20, XX, 30 would be XXX, 40 now would be a little different. 40 would actually take the L for 50 with an X in front of it. So again, it's the same principle we used for the 9, same principle we used for the 4. 59. There's the L for 50, and then we're going to add 9 to it. Again, the first number is 5 for 50, so that's L, 50, and then we're just adding a 9 to it. That's all there is to Roman numerals. Sometimes they can get long. Now this is 86. L for 50, another 10, another 10, another 10, that's 80, and then 6 at the end. So a VI. That is 86 right there. 96 is actually moves up into actually using the C for 100. So a 9, there isn't obviously the 9. So you're just going to put the X in front of 100. And 100 is C in Roman numerals. It's the same principle we used for 9 and 4 as well too. So again, you're just subtracting basically. It's kind of like a way to subtract. And then we add a V and an I for 96 at the end. And the last one here on this is 123. So again, the 1 is the first column, which stands for 100. We've got 1, 100, so that's a C. We've got 20 is the second number, the 2, and that's 2 X's for 10 plus 10, that's 20. And then we're going to have a 3 at the very, very end, which is just 3 I's. So that is 123 in Roman numerals. Let's talk about actually, again, the process just a little more closely. The first digit in 576, we just picked this random number here, is 5 for 500, which is a D. So now the first actual character in Roman numerals for 576 is a D. The second part of this, the 7, stands for 70. To get 70, again, we have to add up actual Roman numerals. So L is 50, and then we've got 2 10s, which equal that 70. So now we're up to the second part. So we've got DLXX is the 570. Now we need to add the 6 onto there, and the 6 is just a V plus an I for 6. So the finished Roman numeral for 576 is DLXXVI. The VI again, 6, and you just break it down by actual number. No matter how long it is, you can basically do the same basic principle. Now, obviously, over 10,000, it's going to be a little more difficult. There wasn't much need, apparently, at the time to do it. This covered all the basics. You could put lines over certain numbers. You'd have to do the math out, but everything you're going to need to do in collectibles and reselling is going to be covered in dates, which we're going to look at here. The key reason to do almost anything is dates. Again, dates for a ton of vintage items are in Roman numerals, even in books. Here's a date now, 1576. Again, I just picked one. The first digit is a 1 for 1,000, which is M in Roman numerals. So again, M is the first part. The 5 stands for 500. That's the second one, which is a D in Roman numerals. So now we're up to MD for 1500, basically. Now we want the 70 part. The 7 is the third one. And again, 70 is LXX, 50 plus 10 plus 10. So now we're up to 1570, MDLXX. And then to get the 6, we're just adding in a V and an I for 6. So Roman numerals for 1576, the date, is MDLXXVI. Again, it's read very quickly and very easily once you've done this for any length of time. I see Roman numerals probably on a daily basis when I'm out sourcing, and literally a lot of sheet music that I go through has dates on them in Roman numerals. That's one of the keyer items that I see them. Cards, there's tons of stuff, so it's well useful to know this. Here's 1941. The M is for the 1,000. To get 900, the 9, you're going to have to do, again, subtract from 1,000, because, again, there is no 9s in Roman numerals. A C is 100, so if we put a C in front of the M for 1,000, we now have 900. To get the 40, again, there is no 40, so we're going to subtract from 50, 10. So the L is 50. We've put a X in front of it to subtract 10 from it. So that's 40. And then an I is 1 for 2015. So now for this one here, 2015, we've got 2,000, which is the first one. To get 2,000, you have to use 2 M's, which are each 1,000. Since there's nothing to worry about the 0, we don't have to represent it. Now we look at the 10, the 1 in this figure here. That's represented now by X in Roman numerals, and then we've got 5, which is a V. So MMXV, 1776. Another key interesting date, M for 1,000 for the first digit in the number. Now we've got 700. To get 700, we have to add 500 and then 2 100. So DCC. Now we've got 70 again, which we've seen, which is 50, L plus XX. And then we need to add 6 to it, which is VI. That's 1776 in Roman numerals. In the next one here, I just picked another date, 1977. Again, 1,000 is an M. And again, 900 we actually minus, so we put a C in front of an M to equal 900. 70 again is 50 plus 2 10s, so LXX. And then 7 is actually a VII. That's the basics, and that should give you all you need to know to read Roman numerals. Well, there you go. Hopefully that is something that will help you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.